Now, I was under the impression that this 2023-24 Penn State wrestling team was the best ever in collegiate wrestling history. According to some people, that's not the case.
You are Locked On Nittany Lions, your daily podcast on the Penn State Nittany Lions, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I mean, I thought setting the NCAA team tournament points record was going to make them the best team of all time, but apparently that's still up for debate. This is Locked On Nittany Lions. I'm your host, Zach Seyko, and thanks so much for making us your first listen and watch every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast. And today's episode is brought to you by Nissan. Are you the kind of driver that likes to push things a little further? Ever wonder what adventure could be around the next corner? Take the Nissan Rogue, the Nissan Pathfinder, or the Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure. Check them out all today at nissanusa.com. And let's welcome them back. Had an incredible weekend out in Kansas City. That is the voice of Penn State wrestling. Also, talk show host at Fox Sports 98.7 in State College. You can stream them at 987thefox.com. And that is Jeff Byers. Jeff, Penn State did some truly historic things. The points record at 172.5. 4 individual champions, 8 All-Americans. And I guess it's still up for debate if this is actually the greatest collegiate wrestling team of all time because, well, they didn't get 5 individual champions, but they set the points record. And the argument is because of the 3-point takedown. And Jeff, let me start by saying this. Penn State isn't the only team that benefits from the 3-point takedown. Everybody has the 3-point takedown here. The competition's all fair. It's not like Penn State gets 3 and everybody else gets 2. So everyone benefited from the rule change. It opened up the scoring, and Penn State has a lot of wrestlers that just know how to score points. So when you hear that the 1997 Iowa team is still the greatest, and this Penn State team would be, I guess, second, what do you say to that?
Well, so let's start with, all of this stuff is certainly debatable. And, there's a bunch of teams that are can be in the discussion. I think part of it is, Zach, what is the criteria you're using for determining who the greatest team is? If you're just going by the NCAA tournament, actually it would not be either the 97 Hawkeyes or the 2024 Nittany Lions. It would be the 83 Hawkeyes if you go by today's tournament scoring, the placing points and all of that. And I think they ended up, I'm forgetting now, I think it was 177 or it might be 177 and a half. For me, and there will be people that will say, listen, the 2001 Minnesota team is still the greatest. That's the only team that ever had 10 All-Americans. That's how you define the greatest team. To me, if you look at the overall, the domination by this Penn State team in the dual meet season, the domination by this team at the Big Ten championships, where they had 5 champions, and the domination at the NCAA championships, where they win by the widest margin ever, set the scoring record such as it is at 172.5, get 6 in the finals and 4 champions, and get all 10 wrestlers to the round of 12 with 8 All-Americans. To me, this was the greatest college wrestling team that I've seen. I think when you factor in the excitement level, the fact that there were 2 4-time NCAA champions on this team, I think, even when you look at the losses, none of the losses by any of the wrestlers in the starting lineup, the 10 guys that went to nationals, none of them lost a single bout all season to somebody that wasn't in the NCAA tournament field. And if you take out Starocci's 2 losses by injury default at the Big Ten tournament, in bouts where the Penn State starters actually went out and competed, the lowest seeded wrestler they lost to all season was a number 18 seed. And all of the other losses came to wrestlers seeded in the top 16. That is just remarkable consistency. And the overwhelming majority of their losses individual losses came to wrestlers seated in the top 5 at the NCAA tournament. Well, that means your losses are coming against elite competition.
Yes.
And so for me, all of that factored into the fact that you lost Shane Van Ness early in the season, who was, clearly a national title contender at the very least. You look at some of the wins by the non-starters during the course of the dual meet and regular season tournament. Again, wins over guys that went to the NCAA tournament, wins over guys that went on and became All-Americans. Well, that is so for me. Again, I think just overall depth, top to bottom strength in the lineup, top end power in the lineup. And again, it wasn't a season where, hey, man, it just everything went Penn State's way, everything came together. No, they had the injury to Van Ness. You had Carter Starocci with a serious knee injury in the last dual meet of the season. This was a team that had to overcome some things along the way as well. And so, again, for me, and I also would factor in the excitement level. Like, how many of those guys do you really want to see wrestle if you're just a casual fan? And I think Levi Haynes is must-watch wrestling. I think Braden Davis is certainly bordering on that at the very least. Certainly Starocci and Brooks and Kirkfleet are that. Mesenbrink is certainly that. So, again, for me, when you factor everything together, now, might there be a better dual meet team in the history? You could probably debate that. Was there a better NCAA tournament team in the history of the sport? Debatable. There's some teams that would be in the argument and the discussion. But again, for me, when you factor everything together, depth, excitement level, domination in the duels, domination in the conference tournament, domination at the NCAAs, to me, this does go down as the greatest wrestling team in NCAA history.
I think that defines it in a very well put summary. And looking at the schedule itself, when they did face a number 2 Iowa team, a top 15 Michigan team, a top 15 Rutgers team, right? Looking at going on the road to Iowa after facing Ohio State, who was ranked at home, and you beat the Hawkeyes 29-6, and then you handle a top 5 Nebraska team as well, the closest margin, 22-13. I think when you talk about all those elements that you mentioned, this was the greatest collegiate wrestling team in the history of the sport itself. Now, coming up still, Carter Starocci. We'll get Jeff's thoughts because, again, he saw this in person. He called it. Carter Starocci's unprecedented 4th title run. What happened in the Mitchell Mesenbrink David Carr match? Well, like Cael says, the first one's always going to be the easiest, and that couldn't have held any more true to that point with what Carter did at this NCAA tournament. Let's discuss on the other side of this break. This episode is brought to you by the spring cleaning champions, Manscaped. This season, make sure to groom your carpets and the drapes with the leaders in the below-the-waist grooming. Clear out that winter bush with Manscaped's Lawnmower 5.0 and watch your confidence bloom like the springtime flowers. Embrace the season and join the 10 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with our special offer. Go to manscaped.com and use code LOCKEDON. That's locked on for 20% off and free shipping. Introducing the season's champ, the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. Their 5th generation trimmer features 2 interchangeable next-gen skin-safe blade heads, a standard one for taking a little bit off the top, and a new foil blade to go smooth wherever your heart desires. It also features dual LED headlights to guide you through the darkest winter debris. Navigate with confidence in your delicate areas. Hate making a mess? Not to worry. This bad boy is waterproof, so shave in the shower, in the bath, or in the ocean if you really want to. Spring cleaning doesn't just apply to the nether regions. Get the full grooming experience with Manscaped's signature Beard Hedger Pro Kit and Handyman Electric Face Shaver. Get 20% off and free shipping with code LOCKEDON at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with code LOCKEDON at manscaped.com. Nothing like a little spring cleaning in your pants. Today's episode is also brought to you by Bettor Together. your bracket already busted? Tired of the same old daily fantasy grind where you make a roster, you cross your fingers, and hope for the best? Or maybe you're losing on the last leg of your pick'em entry. Well, we've got something new for you. Introducing Bettor Together, the first cooperative daily fantasy sports platform. It's not just about playing the game, it's about playing with friends, not against them. Experience a familiar DFS game with a social twist. Enhance the camaraderie of watching sports and realize that DFS, like many things, is better when done together. Boost your odds by strategizing in real time. It's proven teamwork triumphs talent. Synergy from working together gives you a better chance at winning than going at it alone. Split a contest entry and feel connected even when you're apart. It's a way to stay connected with friends in this digital age. Put your group chat to the test and prove yours is the best. Dive into a sense of community, meeting, and working together with fellow fans of your favorite teams. Download Bettor Together now from the App Store and sign up using promo code Locked On for a chance to win your share of over $1,000 in cash prizes. Remember the code Locked On. That's code Locked On, because winning alone is fun, but it's better together. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day long? Do you have to turn down the volume because of all of that shouting? How about you make the switch to Locked On Sports today to avoid all of that? A free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest sports stories without all of that screaming, all that shouting. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, news, and it's streaming 24/7 on YouTube and now on the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. If you want to keep up with what Jeff does, you can listen to his morning show 8 to 10 every single weekday on Fox Sports 98.7, and you can stream it on 987thefox.com if you are out of the State College area. Jeff, the second part of this show, Carter Starocci, of course, like Cael said, the first one's always the easiest. It's the second, third, fourth ones that are the toughest, and Penn State had two teammates simultaneously achieve, for the first time in history, 4 national titles by each individual wrestler. And those were also the first Penn State wrestlers to get 4 individual championships as well. But Carter Starocci recapped it a lot, devoted a lot of segments, and rightfully so, because was he going to be in the lineup? How bad was the injury, right? And then Carter, almost as a statement to say that, hey, this is how I defeated all of you, which included 2 former NCAA champions as well, and Shane Griffith and Mekhi Lewis, respectively. But Carter Starocci taking off the first leg brace. And then the next leg brace, right? There was a leg brace under the leg brace, and then all of the gauze, all of the tape, and, no comment on certain questions, everything. But why it's unprecedented is because, Jeff, he is the only wrestler that I think that could have done that could have won a title, that could have shut out all the major opponents along the way, the 2 NCAA champions. In the finals itself, you shut out all your opponents from that point on. Nobody else could have done that with the state of the injured leg.
Yeah, I think Carter, what he did this postseason is truly phenomenal. And I think when when you think of Carter Starocci, I think Penn State fans will think of a warrior and somebody that just was kind of the ultimate competitor. And I think, he certainly got some help along the way here. I mean, Dan Monthly, the Penn State trainer, did remarkable work to get him to the point where he could compete, where he could give it a go at the NCAA tournament. And obviously the coaches did a great job in preparing him and having him ready. But, Carter had to go out there and do it and do it on a bum leg against some really good competition. He certainly earned that 4th NCAA title. But to me, it does go down as one of the all-time great accomplishments, probably in NCAA wrestling, but certainly in Penn State wrestling history.
Yeah, what Carter was doing, again, this wasn't an easy 174-pound bracket. Now, if you ask Carter, he would say it is, because I think, and if he was fully healthy, right, I go back to the All-Star dual meet where he shut out Mekhi Lewis again, and he did it via major decision. He won the way he had to this time around, playing a more of a defensive game as opposed to an offensive, but it still worked, and nobody had an answer to it. Even though Carter Starocci was well short of 100%, no wrestler, no other opposing wrestler in that bracket was going to challenge him.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I think, again, it just speaks to his competitive fire, obviously to his skill level and to his expertise in terms of knowing the adjustments that he needed to make and making them and being effective and efficient with his wrestling. But it really was a heroic effort by Carter Starocci to claim his 4th title.
And then I know what Levi Haynes did, Greg Kirkfleet, Aaron Brooks, right? I think that was very a storybook finish to finish this NCAA tournament, secure the points record, and have him go off with the, as his last collegiate wrestling match to win, get that 4th title, and take home the Hodge Trophy in the process as well against somebody that's, been quote unquote a rival at 184 and 197 in Trent Hidley, again, a high school Pennsylvania high school wrestler in his own right. But then Mitchell Mesenbrink, and I would say as well, Bo Bartlett, right? It came down to a matter of seconds in both dual meets, but Penn State was very close to having 6 individual champions. To highlight Mitchell Mesenbrink solely because I thought he was the better wrestler. I know that David Carr started strong, had the riding time, and that's what proved to be the difference because the board said 8-8, and Mitchell Mesenbrink was not aware. But Jeff, this is where I want to get some clarification because I can speculate all I want as a talk show host here, but you'll know better and to shed some light on this. Just what happened here, because I think Mitchell Mesenbrink should have won that NCAA title. I thought he was the better, more aggressive wrestler. Carr was gassed, pun intended. I will continue to say that David Carr was certainly out of energy because Mitchell Mesenbrink is just a machine. But what happened, because I felt like if he took another shot attempt at David Carr, he would have taken him down in that final 10 to 15 seconds because I thought it was so weird that he just kept him at arm's length and wasn't really making a move.
Yeah, no, Mitchell did think that it was tied, I think maybe just lost. I'm still not 100% sure if he lost track of the riding time or if he thought because of the stall calls that there was another point. I'm not 100% sure on why he thought it was tied, but he did think it was tied. He thought they were heading to overtime. To his credit, it is not something that he talked about in terms of, hey, if I had known, I would have won the title. I mean, he was very respectful of David Carr and congratulated him, and he went out and earned the title. And we'll never know. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that if he knew the score situation definitively that he's going to go out and win it, he certainly would have changed the strategy there in that last 10, 15 seconds, and it would have been a more exciting finish one way or another. That much I do know. But with both Bo Bartlett and Mitchell Mesenbrink, Zach, and it's one of the things that for me kind of drives home I think why Penn State is what it is right now under Cael Sanderson is neither of those guys, they were both disappointed that they didn't win the title. All right, let's start there. The competitors, they wanted to win the national championship. But both of them, by the time we got to the wrestling club has a social after the national tournament. And the wrestlers and their families come to it, and the wrestlers come up and just say a few quick words, just kind of a thank you to the fans for coming out usually. And both Bo and Mitchell talked about that they were, I'm paraphrasing, this isn't a quote from them, but that they were content with where they finished and how they wrestled, that they both felt they went out and competed hard, gave it all that they had. Both had obviously terrific finals opponents. And I think both were genuinely happy with themselves for the effort. And, every now and then I'll run into people and it's like, what a joke, Penn State. They're all about, being happy and that their wrestlers like, that's because they're winning all the time. Well, I'm telling you, those two guys genuinely had gratitude, were happy. again, I'm not sitting here telling you that they were celebrating the runner-up finishes individually, but I am telling you they both were satisfied and happy with the effort they gave and with the result. And I think to a guy on that team that they truly are not result focused. Now, again, they want to win national titles. That's why you come to Penn State, as Bo Nichols said. But that is not what is defining them. What is defining them in a wrestling sense is, are you going out trying to score points? Are you putting yourself in a position to win? And are you truly giving maximum effort every time you're out, whether it's in the room, in an exhibition match, or in an NCAA title bout? And I think both of those guys walk off the mat knowing that they did that they respected themselves and the sport, and that they're at the end of the day, I think, content because the effort was there.
Let's put a lid on the exciting 2023-24 Penn State wrestling season and just go over some more overall takeaways from this past team. We'll discuss that next here on Locked On Nittany Lions. Today's episode is also brought to you by Amazon Fire TV. Fire TV is your destination for sports, from live games to highlights to in-depth analysis. Fire TV offers amazing viewing experiences with smart TVs, as well as the Fire TV stick that you can plug into your existing TV, and it'll provide access to millions of movies and TV episodes, as well as free and live TV. Whether it's opening weekend for baseball or the college basketball tournament, you're going to want to have Fire TV. Fire TV recently created the Fire TV channels to deliver a constant supply of the latest videos from your favorite sports brands, all for free. That includes all of us here at Locked On and most of the big pro leagues and college conferences as well. Fire TV lets you dive into all of the game analysis, highlights, and more to keep up to date with all the latest in the world of sports, March Madness, NBA, MLB, and lots more. Not to mention great news, entertainment, gaming, travel, and cooking videos as well. Check out Fire TV channels on Fire TV and Alexa devices. If you haven't checked out Fire TV channels, you should. Trust me on that one. To learn more, visit Amazon.com/LockedOnFireTV. That's Amazon.com/LockedOnFireTV. And remember, if you're not already, become an everydayer. Subscribe to Locked On Nittany Lions on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast for the latest conversations around your favorite Penn State sports teams. Talk more than just football here, obviously wrestling, but men's basketball, some recruiting, men's hockey on this show too. And if you want to keep up with Jeff, you've listened to, I hope you checked out his broadcast all over GoPSUSports.com when the wrestling team was in action, from the 3 days of the tournament to the entire regular season, the Big Ten tournament as well. You can also listen to his daily talk show on 98.7 FM in State College, or 987thefox.com. Fox Sports 98.7 morning show, 8 to 10 a.m. every weekday. In this final segment, there was the Nittany Sports Now, I'll give credit to them, and Joe Smeltzer, who's talked wrestling with me on this show, posed a question, and then in addition to what we have with some other takeaways. But I think this is an interesting debate, not from the fact of should they or should not they. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. When do you build the statue for Cael Sanderson? 11 out of the past 13 years, winning NCAA titles. How many individual champions they put together? Record after record, now NCAA records, points margins, right at the national level, undefeated seasons, this and that, all the accomplishments in what is over a decade plus. It's barely over a decade here. So it's not a matter of if, Jeff, it's a matter of when. And I'd be in the boat of, I'm more than okay. I co-sign this if they were to put a Cael Sanderson statue up before he retired, and in the next couple of years or so, with what has been accomplished with this Penn State wrestling program, when they, put that statue up inside or outside of Rec Hall.
Well, I can guarantee you Cael's answer would be never. Let's not put up a statue. Let's focus on the
Who cares
kids.
What I think? What about Cael? What does Cael think?
Yes, on the efforts of the kids and their performance. I don't know if Penn State's going to be willing to put up a statue of anybody ever at this point. I don't know. Listen, I will say, for my money, And, take it for what it's worth, because obviously I was never around John Wooden, and I'm not around Nick Saban. And so I don't know all of the intricacies that go around other great coaches and other great programs throughout college athletics. I am telling you, I don't think there is another staff, and it's not just Cael. It is that, group of three. And then, now Jimmy Kennedy is definitively a terrific number 4. But I think what Cael Sanderson, Cody Sanderson, and Casey Cunningham have formed, and the way they divvy up the duties, the way they approach everything all in, and with such great detail and with such focus on how do we help the kids, each individual kid, starters, non-starters, guys coming through the program, become the best they can be on the mat, off the mat, and then the results that they get with that. Again, you look at the numbers in the semifinals and the finals, we've never seen anything close to what Penn State has done during this coaching tenure. And in particular, since 2016, from 2016 on, what Penn State has done in the national tournament it's not only unprecedented, it's almost impossible to get your head around it. They are averaging 5 NCAA finalists per season. That's absurd. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy to be able to do that once, a couple of times in the history of your program. Penn State is averaging 5 per year since 2016. That, again, we've not seen anything even in the realm of this. And again, then you look at the dual meet winning streak. You look at the just the overall success of the program. And then you go and look at the guys that once they graduate Penn State, what are they doing with their lives? What kind of an impact are they making on society? And it's overwhelmingly impressive. So whether or not there's a statue, whether there's other ways to honor, I don't think you can do enough, in my mind, my opinion, for what Cael has done for wrestling at large, for Penn State wrestling in particular. But again, to me, he and this coaching staff goes down as the greatest staff in the history of college athletics. And any sport, any era, I would say this coaching staff is better than anything else you can throw at me.
And then that one thing that stands out about this season, so that's looking across the career of Cael Sanderson, but from this 23-24 season, I mean, we've discussed it, right? Carter Starocci, the overcoming truly the largest adversity you could ever think of here. Aaron Brooks, finishing in a storybook way, right? Hollywood couldn't have written a better finish for Penn State, respectively, at this NCAA tournament, with Brooks securing the 4th title, the points record, and then getting the Hodge Trophy, and then winning to finish his collegiate wrestling career. But is there just another thing that you look back and it's like, what defines this team and what sets them apart, aside from the other accolades, in over the course of history for Penn State wrestling, at least over the past decade?
Well, there's a couple of things that, to me, are aside from the champions and
Yes.
What we talked about with the way the 2 runners-up handled their losses. The other 2 things that, to me, kind of define this season and this team. I go back to the Rutgers dual meet at the Bryce Jordan Center when you had 2 reserve wrestlers. Both happen to be from the home state of Cael Sanderson, Utah, but both fill in for starters, go up a weight class, and knock off highly ranked opponents. And one ends up taking down a guy that does go on and become an All-American. So Terrell Barraclaw and Lucas Cochran, again, moving up a weight class with the spotlight firmly on them and responding the way they did. To me, that is emblematic of what this team was about all season long. And you had several other guys in several other moments that weren't necessarily expected to be starters or counted on throughout the season, who, when the opportunity arose, they stepped out and at least competed well, if not pulled out the victories. So those two wins, just to me, again, very representative of what this team was about. Oh, you need me to fill in today? Oh, you need me to fill in up a weight class? Oh, you need me to fill in up a weight class against an All-American? We gotcha, no problem. And they go out and take care of business. The other thing that to me, again, is I think of as just representative of this team is Tyler Casack and his run to third place. He loses in the opening round of the tournament as a true freshman. And make no mistake, Tyler Casack came into that tournament truly believing he was going to be the national champion. Whether anybody else believed it or not, I guarantee you, 100% Tyler Casack went in knowing in his mind that he was going to be the guy that had his hand raised on Saturday night. And there he is in the first round. That is gone. That is not happening. And it is a long road back for anybody, but for a true freshman to then regroup, refocus one match at a time, and to knock off 7 straight opponents, including the #1 seed, Ridge Levitt, who beat you twice, once at the Big Ten tournament, once in the dual meet. And you not only beat him this go around, you get the major decision. Again, that to me, very emblematic of what this team and what this program is about. Even when it falls shy of its goals, even when it has a wrestler that doesn't quite do what he wants to do, he's putting the team first, and he is all in on doing everything he can to improve himself and to become the best he can be and to help his team. So those are the two things. When I think back on this season, obviously I'll think about the greatness of Starocci and Brooks, the excitement of Mesenbrink, the dogged determinedness of Braden Davis, the true freshman at 125, all of that. But those two runs by backups against Rutgers and up a weight class, and by Tyler Casack at the NCAA tournament, that's what I'll think of as most representative of what this program and certainly this year's team was all about.
He is Jeff Byers, the voice of Penn State wrestling, also a talk show host at 98.7 FM in State College. Fox Sports Radio, you can stream it at 987thefox.com. If you like these conversations, subscribe to Locked On Nittany Lions on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. Like this episode, share it with friends and family, and let us know in the comments what you thought about this 2023-24 Penn State wrestling team. There will be a follow-up to it because wrestling's not over. There's the Olympic trials. The team for next season could be even better. That conversation is going to be on the way here on Locked On Nittany Lions. And remember, Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus the national shows covering each and every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on YouTube and the free Fire TV channels app.